A couple things that have happened off camera. I put the permanent gas cap on. Just fits nicely into that hole. There's a filler neck that comes with the kit. Let's see if we can get inside there. There it is, right here. And that's the exact same size as the outer circumference here. And the order goes the Sparco outside, gasket, filler neck, then body. That way you're only trying to seal between one thing. So there's the filler neck comes right up behind. There's a plastic gasket in there. And gas will go then down into the tube. You'll need a couple gates, gas filler, and make sure they're gas filling so that the gas doesn't deteriorate. Can't use like radiator type hose. And then there's just an adapter here because they're two different sizes, and that goes 90° down into the tank. I also have the AC compressor on there, and it's tightened down nicely with the belt. It's not filled yet, but that's another day. So it just mounts up there. I also put on, the bodies went on for the permanent time, and I put on the side splitters. You can see they run the length of the body and fit to the outer edges here. So way earlier in the build, I had the body on and aligned the way I wanted it, and I had the holes drilled through the aluminum panels. So I had those screws in just enough to catch it, and then now with the putting the splitter underneath, I had to drill new holes up and much more of them. So if you look, it goes splitter, the aluminum flange, and then the body sits on top of this aluminum flange. And it's just screwed in permanently, and you can access the other end of the bolts to put the nuts on from up inside the body. And it just fits itself to the front edge also, right there. I also put the arrow catch latches on, and they were cut out way earlier before the paint. And the pin's going to come from the nose into this one and drop down into the hole and lock the body down to the alignment pins. Before I put the body on, I put the mounts for the door hinges, because it's much easier to do it with it off. Also put the top hinges on before you put the body on, because it's not easy to access the bolt mounts there, up in there, to get at them. And also I have the vent cover. I just used body panel adhesive and put it in there. You can see I still have the popsicle stick stuck on there. That was the mixing stick. And the screen just to keep anything big from getting in there as it scoops back. Put on the rear panel. Lots of insulation behind there. Mounted it with 2 screws on each side that go right into the frame, and the roll bar just tapped it in there. And there's slots cut out for the seat belts. And then I also did the emergency brake a left hand using the Locar cables. They're 96 inches and they can be cut and adjusted exactly. The 96 works perfectly for the passenger side, which will cross over on the frame and follow the route of the shifter cables. Doesn't go under the engine or the transaxle, and stays above engine level at all times and securely mounted. I started putting in the closeout panels inside. I can't close them off completely because I got to run one more wire down inside there. As you can see, they're set in place there with sound deadening in there, and then way up inside I sealed off the main body. So a good time to do it is when it's dark and you can turn off the lights in your work area and shine it from the engine and look for any air gap or any light gaps, and then fill them with weather stripping, and the sound deadening material works nicely too, just as forming a seal. I also wired up some switches. This is the push to start button that goes into the ISIS. You'll need the ISIS ground, an ISIS input to the master cell that goes into this, that will complete the circuit, complete the ground circuit to the master cell. And then if you want lit switches, you'll need a power from the parking lights and a ground for that too. So these are all wired up for that. And also I have the hazard button, the same thing. This car's getting the door solenoids, which remotely unlatch the doors and also will act as a lock. This is the unit for that, and has a remote control that will pop the door, unlock it. Windshield wiper motor is also in, mounted to the body and the frame. Enough clearance so you can put the closeout panels back in there. It works on, it's a 2-speed motor, but with this system with ISIS you're only getting 1 speed, so you choose high or low. And then I have the vent tubes too in for the dash and the defroster, running the tubes. I think that's pretty much what's been done. The diffuser has been powder coated and it's back on, along with the license plate bracket, which has a 3rd brake light, comes in handy. The exhaust also got ceramic coated, and that's in there. It looks a lot. The LS7 headers look really nice, ceramic coated. And just some covers. They still say Corvette, but that will get covered with the plate just to cover up those coil packs. And you can see I blacked out this part of the body here, so when the door is closed, because you see this edge in here, and you don't want anything showing red. The pins are back in, the alignment pins for the tail and the nose. Everything's been torqued, all the nuts and bolts all set. Now it's got a rough alignment, but it's going to get a computer alignment eventually. Also cut the rear vent covers, which I put in last, just so if I need to reach in for any reason, but these will just go on there and get bonded on like the top. They're just aluminum, and I put on the sprayed on a flat blacks. Also, when you think of your expansion tank, make sure, because the key word is expansion, make sure you don't fill it all the way to the top, because when the engine heats up it needs to flow. Halfway filled, whatever tank you use is good. I ran a tube out the neck down to the ground just in case, so it doesn't spew all over the engine. if it does have too much. But if you look in here, it's a nice view of the closeout panel. You can see it up in there, how it contorts or conforms to the frame and seals everything up. Keeps that area and also quiets it down up inside there.